660 AM. The Answer.
You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells, waiting for a call from Governor Greg Abbott. He's going to talk to us a little bit. Remember a while back he did the State of the State address, right? He said he had 5 emergency items. 5 emergency items that he wanted to get taken care of, and we want to talk a little bit about those with him. One, there were 2 actually that had to do with education. One was early education, the other higher education in our state. Also, ethics reform, part of that. He wanted to make sure that people... he said this in his State of the State address. You want to make sure that people didn't profit from lawmaking in the state of Texas. And then there were 2 things that are just absolutely near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure yours too. Border security and transportation funding. And I'm very much interested in hearing what the governor has to say about both of those things. Is he here? Okay. Good. It gives me great pride to welcome to the microphones of the Wells Report again, Governor Greg Abbott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you so much. Great to be back.
When you were doing your recent State of the State speech and your tour around the state of Texas, you were talking about 5 emergency items that were the beginning of your political agenda. Could you, for the people that did not go to any of your tour stops, could you go through those 5 emergency topics and give us what you're trying to get accomplished and why?
I'll do it. If I could, let me first explain to the listeners what we're even talking about when we say emergency items. By calling an item an emergency, first, it's a signal from the governor that this is something that is of utmost importance, that we must address, we must get done. But second, there is a legal aspect to it. It means that it can move on an accelerated pace, that the legislature can pass it out more quickly than they can other laws. And so this is a way of saying that these are items that must get done during this session. There are several items there are 5 items that I put on the emergency list. One is that we must secure our borders. You know, we've been dealing with a federal government that's failed to do its job. We continue to have problems. Your listeners probably saw the news earlier last week, where over the first week of March, there were hundreds of people who had been arrested in Texas, who had been convicted of crimes ranging from rape to assaulting children to even manslaughter. We cannot be tolerating these open borders that are allowing people to come into Texas unauthorized, posing a danger to us. And so Texas is going to step up and do what the federal government has failed to do. We are going to secure our border. I have a plan that will add more than 500 DPS officers, Texas Rangers, as well as local law enforcement. It will beef up the public corruption aspects, but also deal with our anti-gang program that impacts the entire state of Texas. And John David, here's one important part, and that is this is not just the border that is affected by this. This is the entire state of Texas. And we got to make sure that the people across the entire state are protected from cartel activity, from human trafficking activity, from all kinds of dangers. The second item on the list was an item to ensure that we addressed what voters most demanded during the last election, and that is to build more roads. People are stuck in traffic right now, listening to this show, wishing they could get out of traffic. We need to reduce the congested traffic ways by building more roads. I have a plan that adds more than $4 billion to build more roads. It has already passed the Texas Senate and is working its way through the Texas House. 2 other items relate to education. One is pre-K education that is working its way through both the House and the Senate as we speak. I spent a lot of time in pre-K and kindergarten classrooms, and it's amazing what these kids are able to do, learning to do math skills, learning to do reading skills, advancing along the pathway of education. My goal is to make sure that Texas becomes number 1 in the nation for educating our children. That begins with a solid foundation for education at the very beginning. And then at the end of education, higher education. another one of my emergency items is to ensure that we combine some funds that already exist and devote these resources to making our higher education, colleges and universities the best in America by making them genuine research institutions. And we're going to provide funding that will attract the best and brightest professors and minds from across the country, Nobel laureates as well as National Academy winners for certain areas, especially in science, technology, engineering, and math. And then the last of the 5 items focuses on ethics. Listen, I think we all need to recognize that the people, the citizens of Texas, deserve to have legislators and members who represent them in the Capitol to have the highest level of ethics possible. We need to make sure that no one is profiteering off of any legislation that they are voting on, and that they must recuse themselves or remove themselves from voting on anything from which they could benefit. And so we're trying to clean up some of the ethics challenges that have existed in Austin to make sure that we build greater confidence and trust in the legislature.
That's awesome, sir. A lot of people's ears pricked up, I'm sure, when they heard 2 things for sure in that list of 5, which would be the transportation funding. All of us are absolutely finished with nonstop days of traffic jams and a mess. It doesn't make any difference what time you want to travel here in North Texas. If you want to go someplace, you're going to have to deal with a traffic jam. That is outstanding that you're going to do something about that. And also, of course, border security. I had the privilege of serving with the Texas Military Forces down at Operation Strong Safety. And I saw for myself firsthand the amazing difficulty and the amazing circumstances down there. If people in Texas only knew just how important it is that we get control of that border, I'm so happy that Governor Perry and Joe Strauss and David Dewhurst and now you and Dan Patrick are all foursquare behind that. And I'm looking forward to this being a much safer place for all of us to live.
Let me be clear about what's going on, and that is that already this year, contrary to impressions that are cast out by the Obama administration that the border is secure, we've had well over 20,000 people come across the Texas-Mexico border unauthorized, illegally. And so we continue to have the very same problems that we had before, necessitating that we beef up our border security. But let me emphasize, remember, it was just 3 months ago that I filed that lawsuit against Barack Obama because of his illegal executive order that granted amnesty here across the nation. And it was just last month that we got a judge to agree that what the president did was unconstitutional. This is important for 2 reasons. One, remember it was his prior executive order that was the magnet that caused all these people to come in from Central America. By shutting down that executive order, we're hoping that we're shutting down the immense cross-border activities like we saw last summer. But I got to tell you something more important than that is the fact that we are sending a message to the White House that acting lawlessly, acting beyond the scope of what the Constitution authorizes the president to do, is not going to be tolerated in the United States of America.
That's desperately important. I mean, you were talking about ethics reform earlier. As you explained what was going on there, I was saying, gosh, we should send that entire rules package up to Washington. But yeah, the president is clearly acting beyond his reach, and I'm very, very glad that you're where you are, both as governor and, of course, before when you were the attorney general, because you made a lot of things that were desperately necessary in America happen.
Well, when I was attorney general, I filed 31 lawsuits against President Barack Obama, but maybe the most important one was that last one, because it's the last one that ensures that we return our nation to the way it was supposed to be in the beginning, and that is a nation based upon the rule of law as opposed to the rule of men. Right now we have a man who is making up the law as he goes along. He completely rewrote the law concerning immigration. Remember this. He himself said 22 times he did not have the ability or the authority to make up the immigration law. Then, after he issued his executive order, he said, I just changed the law. That is flat out unconstitutional. We cannot allow our Constitution to be eroded. We will continue to fight to protect the United States Constitution and fight against this executive presidential overreach.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott, our guest. Sir, the state of Texas recently won the Governor's Cup, which is a top prize awarded for economic development. Tell us a little bit about that.
We're so proud. This is the third year in a row that Texas has won it, the sixth out of the last 11 years. Texas has been ranked number one in the nation by site selection for new job opportunities that were created because businesses decided to either come here or expand here. And there's a reason for it, and that's because Texas has the right principles that promote economic opportunity and entrepreneurship. We believe in less government, in low taxes, in reasonable regulations, in right-to-work laws, and in reforming our litigation system. It's very simple. In any state that applies those five formula items will be able to succeed as well as Texas has. But there's a reason why businesses are coming here, why jobs are coming here. And that's because we offer freedom, we offer opportunity, we offer less government, lower taxes, and in fact, it wasn't one of the emergency items I listed to you earlier, but your listeners need to know that we are going to pass this session with lowering your taxes. I said in my State of the State address, I will not sign a budget unless it includes less taxes on our Texans.
That's always good news because money in our pocket's always better than money in the pockets of government, no matter, even if it's as good as the one we have in Texas.
I know that your listeners know far better how to spend their money than do a bunch of bureaucrats in Austin, Texas.
Indeed they do, sir, with all due respect to those bureaucrats in Austin. Speaking of things coming here, you were discussing businesses coming here. You are coming to North Texas to take part in the Denton County Lincoln Reagan dinner on March 21st.
I am. I'm going to be in North Texas twice next week. On Monday, I will be in Dallas at the Hyatt Regency giving my trimmed-down version of the State of the State address for anybody who wants to attend that. And then I'll be talking more political matters at the Lincoln Reagan Day dinner in Denton County, which I'm very much looking forward to. And that is a week from this Saturday. And I'll be there along with Oliver North, who will be there talking about all kinds of things. But among other things, we'll be talking about my recognition of Chris Kyle and Chris Kyle Day in the state of Texas.
Yeah, that was a great thing that you did. I remember we talked about that here on the Wells Report, and it heartened me to discuss it with the governor of Texas on this broadcast when we were talking about such a great Texan in Chris Kyle.
Well, he of course is an American hero, and he's a Texas native son. But Chris was very clear that he was really just the face of his fellow soldiers in arms. He has brothers and sisters who have worn the uniform of the United States military who deserve the same recognition that he got. He happened to be the face of it. But we are thankful to him as well as every man and woman who's ever worn the uniform because we get to have the freedom to fight for democracy because people like Chris Kyle and every person who's fought in our military has fought for that freedom.
These, of course, very important topics for discussion. We're certainly happy that you came to join us here today, Governor Abbott, but there is one other thing that we simply must talk about. We know you have a family dog named Oreo, and from what we understand, Oreo got a brand new baby sister, a golden retriever named Pancake. Is that right, sir?
She's called the first puppy of Texas.
The first puppy of Texas.
And she's a golden retriever.
Uh-huh.
And actually today is her 3-month birthday. We got her when she was 10 weeks old, and she actually has her own Twitter account. It's at Texas Pancake, and she has more followers than a bunch of legislators. She has more than 2,000 followers already.
That's
so. Your listeners follow at Texas Pancake and learn more about the first puppy of Texas.
That's great. How many representatives and senators are sitting there going, you mean the governor's puppy has more tweet? What? Sir, it's a pleasure to have you, like I said. People can find out more by going to gregabbott.com. That's Greg Abbott, 2 B's and 2 T's.com. And, sir, we'll look forward to seeing you both next week and March 21st as well. Thank you.
I really look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're listening to the Wells Report. This is 660 AM The Answer. Back with more in just a moment.